let's jump ahead now to what I call my multi-medium cakes. For the project I was doing, I wanted to make something really simple, really sweet, that I could do in advance, that I could put onto a sugar pastry cake, a chocolate pastry cake, anything that's got a covering on it that's not wet. And when I say a chocolate cake, I mean it will be chocolate that's had the chocolate poured on so it sets, or it could be a ganache cake, as long as it's not wet. Okay, because if it's wet, of course, the moisture transfers through to the roll icing. I took just a heart-shaped cutter that I had knocking around. I drew around it. I laminated it because I use this a lot, but obviously you don't need to laminate it. I did it in black because I want to be able to make sure I can see it really clearly. So that was my template. Now, on the cake I've got on the stand, I did them all the same size. One of the things I like to tell students of mine is if you're doing a wedding cake, make sure that they're size appropriate. So maybe that would be the size for my middle tier. My base tier, I do it bigger. My top tier, I would do it smaller. But in the demo I did for these, I did them all the same size, so I was trying to prove a point. You can do it really quickly. So I'm now going to take a piece of wax paper. This could be acetate, it could be cellophane, whatever you normally do a run out on or an off piece on. Some people, when they use cellophane, will give it a slight smear of Trex. Some people will actually do this onto kitchen foil, but obviously you can't see through the kitchen foil, so they all have to be free-handed. So I'm going to lay that over the top of that. I'll stick that down so it doesn't move a second. And gives my camera guy a chance to just focus on where I am. Okay. Now the nozzle I'm going to be using now is a star nozzle, and it's a number 44, and all of the nozzles I'm using are Knightsbridge PME. There are equivalents out there in Gem, there are equivalents out there in Wilton, there are equivalents out there in Beckenol. So always use your own judgment as to what suits your purpose. So I'm going to take this, it's quite a thick line, but I need it there because if I'm transporting this cake in the back of a car, in Britain especially, I don't want things breaking off. So I'm going to just pipe a line directly over the top of my outline. I try to be as accurate as possible, but I'm actually not going to kill myself and worry about it. So I've done that. Pipe the other half of it. And sorry if I made that look easy. 35 years of piping sort of tells. So I then take a damp paintbrush and I just make sure the ends are tidy. Now, I don't necessarily need to do that, but for my own peace of mind, because I'm a bit OCD, I like to know all of the joins are together, and I want to make sure I'm making this as neat as I possibly can. So that's my basic shape. I'm then going to take exactly the same nozzle, and I'm going to pipe quite a tapering rope right down the middle of my piece, and that will become apparent in a moment. So what I've done, see if I can hold it up for the camera. Where are you, Mr. Camera? Okay, I'll let you find me, not me find you. Okay, as you can see, all I've done is I've piped the outline and I've piped a rope down the front of it. Now, while that's still wet, I will just take one of these formers and lay it over the former. Now, this former could be anything. It could be a bit of piping, it could be a bit of kitchen roll, it could be a bit of curved cardboard, it can be whatever suits your purpose. Please do not use toilet roll inserts. I know it's very tempting because they're a handy size, but believe me, I know people who have. And it's just like, no, don't do that. So what I would do then is set that one to one side. Now, if I'm doing these, I'm going to be doing 20 or 30 of them. So I just get into a production line and they're all up and running. So leave that to one side. So make sure I'm on track with everything. Yes, I am. Right. Now, while that's having a little dry there, I want to share something else with you that I use later on. Who has trouble piping small dots on their cakes? Yay! The trouble with the dots on your cakes is they always have these little spikes on top of them that you never know how to get rid of. Okay, because I pipe a lot in advance and because I'm a bit sneaky, the way I do them is slightly different. I will take a bit of cellophane, and whenever I've got spare raw icing left over, I will actually put a little few drops of water into it so it goes really quite a soft run-out consistency. I will then stick a piece of cellophane onto a board and I'll rub it with Trex. And then what I do is I take a nozzle. If I want these exactly the same size, I would draw underneath all little circles. If you've got a laptop, just do a line of circles on your laptop, copy and paste them, print them out. Then as long as you fill in to the size of the dot, they'll all be identical. And then all I do is I just work my way along. I pipe all my little dots and run out. They will find their own surface. They will then become perfect little beads. Obviously, with experience, you can make sure they all are perfectly the same size. But you'll get into a rhythm of piping them. Within a couple of hours, I've got boxes of dots, people. These boxes of dots can be attached to anything now. I just need a pair of tweezers, which is how I make all my dots. So these little boxes are absolutely full of dots. I've got them. Where am I? There I am. There. As you can see, I've got a whole box full of dots. These are various sizes because I didn't make any specific size. But it's good because I've always got them. If I've got a last-minute order of cupcakes with a paste top, I can do this really nice, neat row of dots across the top of it. If I've got a very specific wedding cake design, I need that in a minute, very specific wedding cake design, and it's for a very high-powered client, and I want to make sure all of those dots are absolutely perfect, that's the only way I can do it. I make them all the different sizes, and then I know when I stick those dots on, they are absolutely flawless. What I do is I make up some royal icing the same color as my cake. So I put a little dot of royal icing, pick them up with the tweezers, touch them on, they're fine. If I haven't got them perfectly lined up, I can actually slide them across, can't I? See what I mean? So it takes the stress out of doing them. I could then go to town. Like if you go to the display area on the far side where all the contributors and traders have got display cakes. I've got a 4-tier cake there that's blue with royal icing spiral upping it with a wizard on the top. There must be close to probably 1,000 dots on that cake, and believe me, I wasn't going to sit there all night piping them on. Whenever I had time, I piped them and let them dry. So that's how I do that. So let's go back to that one. Now, as you can see, my piece, miraculously Blue Peter moment, has dried. I would leave it overnight. As we said, we're doing these months in advance, so there's no real problem. Okay? Once I've got that in place, I like to finish it off so it looks a little bit cleaner. So I then take a different size nozzle that's not a serrated nozzle, and this is actually a number 2 nozzle or a number 3 nozzle, okay? It's just a plain nozzle. And what I do now, you can either do it on here or on your filmer, is I pipe a line directly on top of my heart. This line is nice, it tidies it up, it makes it look really clean. It also gives you the option of adding colour. So if I'd have done the heart in colour, it would have looked too thick and bulky. But if I wanted to add just a hint of colour, or the bride has got pale pink in a bouquet, I could do the top line in pale pink. So let's pipe that right around there. And again, quite simply, I finished it off. It gives it another dimension. But the good thing about this is I've used the thicker nozzle underneath. That's pretty rigid. That's going to go through quite a few journeys if I need to deliver it. Because it's wonderful doing beautifully fragile, delicate work. But when you arrive at the venue and it's all in the bottom of the box, it's a bit disappointing, really. So now, what I would do here, have I got another white one? That's not the one, this one. Now, going back to my dots, good old tweezers. In my design, I'm going to put a little tiny white dot there. Take my tweezers out, pick up one of my dots, if I can pick it up without dropping it. I now have a perfect dot. There is no way I could have piped that dot on the end of there because the dot is actually bigger than the length of the width of my line, so I couldn't have piped it. That's the only way I could have done it in the first place. Now, what I want to do is, because I know what design I want to do, I'm just going to put 2 more dots on here. A dot of colour will change the look of something beautifully. A dot is a great way to introduce a delicate piece of colour into a white cake. It also works great for things like christening cakes as well. So take that one, stick that one on there. Now, let's put that to one side. Now, as you can see, I've got quite a delicate little off piece here. Okay? So that's already, I could have done that months ahead of time. Let's sit that one down the front as well. And let's jump all the way back to one I already did. I didn't put the side dots on, come on. Now, once I've piped all of my roses, big or small, I mean, I tend to keep them in things like this, which are, you know, those business card holders. Really cheap. If you've got a business, you've probably got hundreds of them knocking around. Or if you go into a craft show, they sell these in bulk. I mean, anything like this, it's loose lid, loose fitting. I can put, there's probably about 40, 50 roses in there. And obviously, I have boxes and boxes of these things. I use them a lot. So let's put those to one side. You don't need to focus on those, it's fine. And I've got some little flowers as well that I've put together. So now what I'm going to do is I've got a leaf bag with some raw icing in, and I'm just going to pipe simple leaves. All the leaf bag is just a V cut, and as I touch it down, squeeze, gently pull away, it will give me a leaf. So I'm going back to working on this. Let's put it there for you, is that okay? So first of all, I'm going to go in, and I'm going to put some leaves on this structure. I'll try not to move it around too much so that we can see where I'm at with this. I like to put leaves in because what it does is the spikes around the side give it a really delicate look when it's up against the color of the cake. Once I've got that in place, I'll then choose a selection of flowers. I'm just going to randomly choose these. If you're doing a cake the same as the one I've done out on the stand, I made sure I knew what color went where so that they all looked identical. But the opposite is clever. If you want to just put random flowers on there, it also is a nice look. So I'm just going to add a few on here. A couple of basic flowers. It's quite a quick process because obviously all of this would have been done ahead of time. I would have piped my, dropped that one. Piped my roses weeks ahead. I would have piped my blossoms ahead of time as well. And that's the joy of raw icing. I'm taking the pressure off me actually doing it on the day. Turn that around, get a little purple one, it'd be cute. Once I've stuck all of my roses on and all my blossoms on, then I actually look at it and I'll go in and I'll pipe little leaves in between the flowers. A couple of reasons for that. It makes it look more realistic. It also ensures all of the off pieces are actually completely and totally attached to each other and the heart. Also, you don't want to see that rope that I've put underneath. Let's put that to one side. So what we've done now is I've created a little wedding bouquet type thing with inside a heart. Now, if you got really clever with this, you could pipe little bouquets to match the bride's bouquet. If you're going to do that, charge the earth for it, because that's a lot of work, I can assure you. But that gives you a nice finished off piece. Set that to one side so you can see that later. Right, as he stretches over here. Now, to release them from their paper, all I'm going to do is hold it, just gently peel back my wax paper, take it off. I've got a complete and utter piece to stick on a cake. Now, as I said, I could have done that months and months ahead of time, so I've taken the pressure off myself on wedding cake day. So let me just have a quick wipe of all this lot off. So where am I at time-wise? Yeah, I'm fine. Now, another quick little thing to do is now show you how to actually piece this all together. Now, I used to work for big commercial bakeries, and it was always pounded into me that time is money, so obviously everything had to be done really, really quickly. So I've always seemed to bear that in mind. I'm always really important that I work as quick as I can, because if I work as quick as I can, giving the client a product that's as good as I want it to be, then that way, by working quickly, I'm saving time. If I'm saving time, I'm actually making more money. I know I sound really materialistic, but that was all beaten into me. So what I've done is I've taken, and excuse the coating, I did this in the hotel last night. Electric light in a hotel is not a good thing to coat a cake in. But I've got just a basic cake. All I've done, covered it in sugar paste. I've actually put a ribbon around it, put a double ribbon around it, because I actually like double ribboning things. The one out on the stand, what I did is I put a wide ribbon round, I put a lace ribbon over the top, and it gives a really nice delicate effect because I can see the colour come through it. Now, so where are they? Oh. I'm not going to dem that, but that will just show you another use of the little flowers. It'll be over here for you to look at. All that is a little dome of pastelage, and I've just filled it full of flowers. It's another quick way, it's a quick thing to do. So if I put that there, it's not in your way. So going back to my royal icing, now I need to do this cake quite quickly. I know all of my little bouquets are all ready. Oh, there's another version of it too. Let's put that there so you can see. So I'm going to take my little pieces. All I'm going to do is about there. I'm just going to pipe an extra bit of royal icing onto the back of my heart, and then I'm going to sit it on and stick it to my cake. I'm going to do it so I can do opposites. And it depends on the size of your design as to how many you can get on there. I know that I can get 8 on there. Yes, let's be brave. I may mess this up, but it's not intentional. So I normally put 6 on. I want to see that I can get 8 on this. Now, as I go along, if I have any mess on my cake, obviously a dry paintbrush, just go in and tidy up the back. Don't wait too long because obviously it will start eating into the sugar pasting coat. So you want to make sure it's nice and tidy as you go along. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I'm not talking, I'm concentrating. I was once told men can't do more than one thing at one time. I totally disagree, but talking and doing things may be a whole other issue. Well, can you hear someone else's dem? So I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually quite grateful to be sat down for a bit. So. Right, so obviously if you were doing this at home, you wouldn't be as lazy as I am. You would mark the cake to make sure they were absolutely perfectly spaced. Because if they're off, you don't notice when you've got them in front of you. When you stand back at a wedding, oh my, does it look off. So, right. Put up there. So I've done all those little off pieces all the way around it. I'll put that one on there actually. So we're pretending this is the top tier of a wedding cake. Pop him right in the middle there. Just stand up to look down on this. So there you go. That will give you your cake. Now, I think most of you will agree, most of the skills within that are reasonably simple skills. The one that would probably challenge you would be the piped roses. There is no reason why this couldn't be done with plunger flower cutters. That bouquet would look equally as well with little tiny plunger flowers on it. It's actually the heart and the bit around it that is a clever thing, because as you can see, I've turned quite a plain, simple cake into something that looks just a bit above average. Okay? If that was just the top tier, can you imagine what that would look in 4 or 5 tiers? It would look phenomenal. Okay? So, that concludes my dem. There's a 3-tier wedding cake over there that's the full version of this. Thank you very much and enjoy.